Welcome back, everyone. We have another fun video today. Hope you're doing well. Today we have How a Roman Legionary Shall Be Armed. This is by Alex the History Guy. Go sub to Alex the History Guy. Great channel. Interesting channel. Talking about lots of different things around, the militaristic culture, as well as like simple things like how a Roman legionary shall be armed. Let's jump right in. This should be fun. Glad you're here. Hit that like button. Let's jump right in. Bringing out a song? Whoa. Oh, it's just it's a confirmation. Beautiful.
In 43 AD, legions of Roman soldiers came ashore to England in a second invasion, and this campaign, led by Emperor Claudius, was on a much larger scale than the previous invasion led by Julius Caesar.
Right, we've only really, on this channel, we've looked at the Caesarian invasions, which were really two invasions. That was the first one, then they came back with a much larger force. Not really have experienced or learned much about the Claudius invasions of Britons. So, yeah.
This Roman legionary wears a tunica, and typical Roman shoes called caligae. The legionary wears a subamalus, which is like an early version of a gambeson or undertunic. This provides a layer of padding for the plate armor which is worn later, and also helps cushion the impact of incoming attacks.
Okay.
The subamalus is laced tight at the sides, and features tassels around the bottom and the sleeves. These are called terigues, and while offering a small amount of protection, they are mainly a decorative addition. Despite popular belief, the Roman military did not all wear red as uniform.
And in most of, I'm wondering, I mean, obviously he's getting help putting this on. I'm wondering, there was a, I think like in a, I forget the actual unit of measure of troops. I think it starts with a D, like a decimal or something like that. They use decimal as a lot in the ancient world in terms of like the contingents of troops. However, there was, for example, there was like 8, right? There was like 8 people in like the smallest unit of the legion, and then you had 2 slaves, or were they slaves? They were helpers. I'm wondering if they had those people do tasks like that.
Indeed, many colours were present, most commonly beige, blue, green, and yellow. The soldier wears his plate armour, which is called a lorica segmentata. We do not know what the Romans actually called this armour, as the name lorica segmentata was coined by the Victorians some 1,800 years later.
Dang. We'll probably never know, unless there's something dug up.
The armour consists of many segmented plates, which are hinged and strapped together, providing a good amount of mobility while also providing excellent protection against both slashing and stabbing attacks.
One thing he's not mentioning is like, what are these plates made out of? What material did they use? Are these iron plates? Are these something of a mixture?
As each segment folds over the other, so there are no gaps. This reconstruction is based off a find from Calcrese, which is the famed site of the Teutoburg Forest massacre in 9 AD. The find is the earliest example of lorica segmentata ever discovered. As the artifact found was not complete, elements of the later Corbridge find has been used in this reconstruction. Some variants of Roman plate armor also featured segmented arm protection, which was called a manica. These additional pieces were developed during the Dacian campaigns.
Your lower legs are so exposed, though. That's the only, I would be so nervous of like, because once you lose your leg, you're pretty useless in the army.
Where the natives were using falks. a weapon similar to the scythe with a curved blade which could sometimes hook over a shield and hit the legionary behind. The hinges and hooks on the lorica segmentata are made from brass or copper, and originals have often been found with stylized decorations on the brasswork. A classic feature of the Roman military was the gladius. This is a sword with a broad blade and a very severe point, designed specifically for stabbing and opening up large wounds with each thrust, maximizing injury and blood loss to dispatch an opponent quickly. After the baldric, a second belt named a boltius is worn, which comes with jangly straps on the front called the cingulum. The cingulum is a rather curious component as their purpose is not yet confirmed, but it is understood that only soldiers were permitted to wear them, so they held a certain level of status.
I was going to say, it's probably something to do with status.
They weren't particularly useful as a form of protection, but some experts believe that they would have made a lot of noise during a military march. So they could have aided in psychological warfare as the Roman legions would be heard louder and louder as they
Or it could just be style. Style is huge in the ancient world.
draw near. The legionary also carries a pugio, which is a small dagger with a similar blade to the gladius.
I like
The helmet,
handle.
named a gallia, is worn. This classic style of helmet, which we associate with the Roman Empire, was actually first worn by the Germanic or Gallic tribes, and the Romans later adopted it for their own use.
And as always, the Romans adapt and they take from their enemies. We saw that with the Punic Wars, the naval warfare. Here's another example: the Gallic tribes using this helmet, and they're like, "Oh, it looks like it worked well. We're gonna take that design and we're gonna use it and mass produce it." That's one thing that Rome did so well, is they were able to continuously build off of their enemies, gather the intel, gather their technology, and then repurpose it for their own self.
This specific design is called the Gallic Type A, and is one of the older versions of this style of helmet. The Roman military favoured a large shield called
That's a huge shield.
scutum. This curved rectangular shape provided an excellent level of protection to the soldier, and was also used as a weapon in its own right.
That's like 4 foot tall.
A legionary could use the metal boss in the centre of the shield to plough into an opponent, barging them back. But they could also slam the bottom of the shield down on an opponent's foot.
And they would hold that one-handed. How heavy would that shield? It looks probably like 30 pounds.
Debilitating them before thrusting their gladius into the injured opponent. Again, the classic yellow lightning bolt with wings on a red
Oh, they're doing the Tortuga.
background is only one type of shield design, and indeed we do not actually know how their shields were decorated, as so few examples survive. We do know that soldiers of the Roman period particularly favoured the pagan god Mithras, who was often depicted slaying a bull, so this animal may have featured on Roman shields.
A lot of the same style of the Legion can be attributed to like the Greek military, and it's so obvious, especially with like the shields and some of the smaller blades, and I mean it's obviously Western, so it's very similar. So it's interesting to look at it though.
The pilum came in two styles, often a heavy and light variant. These could be thrown into an opponent in volleys, particularly effective at short range, but equally they were used as a melee weapon to thrust over or to the side of the shield.
Yeah, these were like the missiles that they would just throw at people at the beginning of battles.
Due to the shield being so large, leg or arm protection wasn't seen as necessary by the Roman Empire, and the soldiers were well trained in tactics to protect themselves in combat in a variety of situations, using both the pilum and the gladius effectively to dispatch an opponent. Again, despite popular belief, these swords weren't actually that short in comparison to other swords of the period. Later, the Romans adopted the spatha, which had a longer blade, often used by the cavalry units called the equites.
I mean, yeah, the cavalry are definitely they're coming in wild with their slashes. They're gonna definitely need a longer blade, especially it's gonna increase your wingspan that way.
The sword is carried in a scabbard, which is swung over the shoulder by the use of a baldric. An important detail to note is that the sword is carried on the right-hand side of the body, so the soldier would not have to draw the sword across the body. This may be because the Roman military were trained to be in close formation, and their large shields may have prevented them from cross-drawing effectively with speed.
Yeah, good point. I wonder what left-handed people would do, if it would be different.
It should also be said that while baldrics were certainly popular for legionaries during the Roman period, they were not universal, and belt scabbards were also commonly used. The specific style of gladius used here is dubbed the Pompey, due to where the original was found.
Pompey.
This was made with a thinner blade and therefore cheaper to manufacture. This style was used throughout the 1st century AD, so would have certainly been present in the Second Campaign of Britain.
This guy on the right is dead like 3 times now.
But they were also used for several centuries after, so evidently they were deemed suitable to do the job required for a long time.
I'm guessing this will be like training?
I would like to give a massive thank you to the Longthorpe Legion Roman reenactment group, who helped make this video possible.
Yeah.
Please support them by following their social media
Oh, that's the Centurion.
in the description below, and be sure to attend their incredibly authentic living history events to help keep this wonderful hobby of historical reenactment thriving in British culture for generations to come.
That's really cool. That's really cool. I know there's a bunch of others that I want to look at from this channel, within like how they'll be armed and whatnot. Like there's a Centurion one we'll probably do, but more or less there's a lot of content on this channel that's interesting. It's more or less just fun to kind of like see. I know we do tons of videos around battles and the historical campaigns of Rome or other places, but this kind of gives you like a more granular look at what a individual would be carrying on person. There'd be their armor, their weapons, their defense, their everything. Interestingly enough, it's kind of high level, but at the same time it kind of gives you like an insight of what is the archetype of a legionary. So thank you guys for watching. If you have specific videos you'd love for me to react to, please put down below. Until next time, peace out. Bye-bye.